What is going on, everyone? Welcome back. It is episode 583 of the Vant and Rant. I am back here. It is me and Tyler going to be with you here today for our fun little podcast. And it's going to be an interesting one. We got plenty of stuff to talk about, some more data out there. It's just funny because, everyone jokes that I seem to be dragged out onto this show every time something's about to happen. So you guys dragged me out in August, and then I think we had like a nice crash after that. You dragged me out on the day that the Queen died. The Queen died when I happened to be on. You dragged me out last Thursday, and then Friday we shit the bed. So now you're dragging me out before the Fed. I don't know what that means. But
guys, we're trying to give you hints here. Nick has the crystal ball.
Apparently, I'm the harbinger of doom. So y'all need to be paying attention and check out that ill omen because something's going on here. Anyway, another fun day here in the markets. We got plenty to talk about for sure. But I'll first of all see how was trading for you today. Sounded like you had a pretty good day.
Yeah, it started out really rocky.
Yeah.
Started out very, very consolidated. Unfortunately, I was trading during the consolidation phase, and then once NYSE Open happened and London close came about, things started moving. So I ended up actually doing really well today, very profitable. It's just it took me some grinding and some patience to get through today because it was very choppy.
Nice. Well, good. Glad that you were able to kind of grind out some profits there by the end. So. Not too bad. Well, let's dive on into it. I will share the charts here. We can go over the market and talk about what we're looking at here, what it looks like, because we're kind of having an inside day today. Not that surprising when the candle like yesterday is going to be as big as it was. Pretty sizable candle there that we're sitting kind of perched inside of.
With this chart, we talked about it yesterday,
yeah.
And I want to say that.
Yeah.
Yesterday I said we're going to hit 390, fill the gap, and then drop from there, and we got it perfectly. Got it perfectly, filled that gap, and then we dropped from there. So it's just setting up perfectly for tomorrow.
Sometimes trading can be that easy, I swear. Now, our boy Powell can ruin all of the good technicals depending on what he says, but I don't think he will. I think he's setting us up to do something nasty tomorrow. So we'll have to see. That's yeah. Well, yeah, it was a good call, and it's definitely it's going well. Anyway, so taking a look here at the market, just kind of skimming through, making sure there are no headlines while we're on here. Same for him. Got a bit chopped up this morning, but I've got a sizable short working on Astana. Nice, very nice. I'll pull up that intraday chart in a moment, but it does look nice. It's seen on my other monitor here, but it looks pretty good. That's a pretty good setup. Taking a look at what we have here. So like I said, market on the inside day, kind of teetering down towards the edge here. I personally don't think we sell off before. We absolutely could though, because people could be getting jitters. So let's just talk about that first, because obviously we're going into the Fed here. We're going into the Fed. This is a big one here because we've had blowout CPI. People are like, okay, maybe the Fed will start winding back. Maybe this is going to be it. And now we're not even thinking about that. Now we're thinking, is the Fed going to be hiking 75 or 100 basis points? So there is a futures. Where's here we go. I'm going to pull up the futures thing to see what they're currently predicting in the Fed Watch tool in terms of probability. So right now it looks like we're sitting at okay, so they're not giving a huge probability at 100 basis points. I think they're giving a smaller probability than I would expect.
Like 30%?
16% for 100 basis points.
Wow, smaller than I thought it'd be.
Yeah, so we'll see. I think that's what we're currently sitting at 275 basis points, right? I think that's where we are.
Yeah.
Or 250 maybe. Anyway, regardless, so yeah, the question now is how aggressive is the Fed going to be? What are the minutes going to be? Because don't forget, they've also since suspended their forward guidance in terms of what they're thinking, things like that. So now you've got a lot of conflicting numbers here. SPY missed its gap fill by about 20%, or 20 cents. That's not bad for something like the SPY. Oh yeah. That's not bad for something like the SPY. It's like Amazon missing, something by 20 cents.
Yeah,
right. Bad. Anyway, so we're going to the Fed tomorrow. That's going to be the big moment. Obviously, we'll have the big show for that. We'll have the big Fed watch, and we'll watch the press conference with you all tomorrow. But going into it, we had some bad numbers today.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you guys just had me on Thursday, and I was joking that the Atlanta Fed had cut GDP estimates last Thursday when I was last on, from 1.5% to 0.5%. Well, they came out today after some of the housing numbers and said, yeah, we're cutting it again from 0.5% to what, 0.3%?
0.3.
Man, that is.
It's going negative. Come on.
Yeah, they do this every time, you know. They cut it, 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 and then eventually it's negative. Now it's like, all right, now where are we? So now it's, you know, it's getting nasty, you know, where this will be another quarter likely of negative GDP, and negative GDP growth. And you know, then you start talking, okay, we're obviously in a recession, you know, the Fed keeps hiking and going aggressive, do we see depression?
Yeah.
So that's going to be
and Bornlon beat me to it. They're not going to start out at negative like 2% right away. They don't want to shock the system.
Oh god,
so
yeah, people would be.
Yeah, they're slowly bringing it down to the right level so it milks into the market already. And so they don't want you to know we have a recession.
No. Yeah, exactly. And you got even Mark, you know, one of our kind of more bullish traders out there, saying we're at critical levels in the IWM SPY, which we've been trying to support for 3 days now, may not get much more bullishness into the Fed. Yeah, I mean, it's tough, but you know what? That begs the question. Everyone, I feel like, is waiting for this hammer to drop.
Right.
Everyone. That makes me a little nervous.
Right.
Makes me a little nervous that we could get an FU squeeze first. And then maybe a flush out.
You know, I've been talking about it, and it wouldn't surprise me, honestly, because I've been talking about this whole move down that we've been getting. And from the top here, because I like to do it from swing highs, we haven't had, at least on the ES, I'm not sure, you know, I don't, you know, trade the SPY. On the ES, we haven't had an actual lower high being formed. As far as my validation for a lower high is 38.2% retracement. And so on the ES, they've only been 23.6% retracements the whole way down. And so it wouldn't surprise me if we had that shake up first. Or I'm sorry, I'm looking at it from this swing high to this swing low. And so it wouldn't surprise me if we shook people out first to create that lower high and then move down.
Yeah, I really wouldn't be surprised either. I can only imagine, you know, we talked about it, you know, kind of going into this squeeze here before CPI took us out. We've talked about this before, where the internals of the market have gotten so bloated, the gamma and a lot of the internals, that is also potentially setting itself up. I haven't looked at what the latest gamma numbers are or any of that, but we could get some kind of explosive overshoot in one direction or another. So we got to be very careful, because there's a lot of fear out there. There's a lot of antstiness. And even if everyone starts looking for that short, everyone does, there definitely could be some pain first before the flush. So we just got to be careful. That's all it is, because, you know, I'm not saying buy if the Fed comes out with that 75 basis point rate hike. Yeah, that's for sure. But we're just going to have to be careful. So. Yeah, that's that's what we're looking at. That's what we're going to see next week, tomorrow. So obviously the big discussions are going to be, I assume we're going to be hiking 75 basis points. Who knows what the looks were for, I think we might get the dot plot tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow?
Is it, it's the isn't this the quarterly meeting, right?
Yeah, I think it is.
It's every quarterly meeting. Okay, I thought so.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big deal. That's going to be a big deal. Especially today's day and age, you know, we need to see just how hawkish some people are there, and that's definitely something to watch out for. Honestly, I just said that I don't know if the market's going to sell off before the Fed, but with how we're trading right now, maybe you get that sell off early,
dude. I mean,
maybe you get that people panic and rug pull.
You've been seeing it in the CPI, you know, so maybe you see people puke out before the Fed.
Yeah, so. Keep an eye on this market very closely, everyone. Okay, so we do get. I think I agree, Bornholm. I think we should be more concerned about the spread on rate expectations rather than the rate hike itself. I think that's going to be a very big deal. The market's going to be looking at that because, you know, the further and deeper into a recession we get, the more the hiking, you know, it's going to cause some ugliness. So definitely what we need to keep watching. You know, meanwhile, today, this morning slash last night, you had Japanese CPI was way hotter than expected. German PPI was way higher than expected. You had all the obviously foreign stuff that was way higher than expected. Sweden shocked their market with a new record 100 basis point rate hike themselves. So you got a lot of stuff out there, ECB doing it. So a lot of tightening, a lot of fun out there in the market. So it's definitely not a time to be taking a vacation if you're a trader. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah, Google's at lows. I don't know. I just want the old Facebook ticker. Meta's at lows. Netflix is actually climbing, which is interesting, though they've been at lows. Apple's very handily green today, as is Tesla, though Tesla's actually in the process of dumping pretty hard below VWAP. So I think that these boys, Tesla, Apple, Netflix, what's Amazon doing today? Amazon's whatever, and Microsoft whatever. Tesla, I think some of those big boys are what's holding us up right now, keeping us from making new lows personally. Right. That's why tech is stronger technically. They're not even down 1%. So that'll change if you do see the rug pull. People aren't going to be hanging on to their Apple that they bought today if that happens. XLF, sure. I mean, especially with the stuff that we had with the Fed, XLF is definitely one of the weaker sectors. I wouldn't say it's dragging the market because the financials are weighted, but they're not hugely weighted. But they're definitely a driving factor. Like the IWM and the small caps, like the companies themselves, like that. That's definitely what's doing it. And if you look at the percentage of stocks trading above the 50-day SMA, it's making a new low. That's a big distinction compared to the market, and that's why it's the big boys that are holding us higher, because the percentage of stocks trading above their moving averages is moving down at a more rapid pace than the rest of the market. So that tells you that it's the big boys keeping us up right now. So
yeah, I think if you look at back at the lows of June 20th, mm-hmm. That's where we were at the lows of the year so far, and so we're heading. It looks like we're heading down that way with the stocks below the 50. Yeah. So definitely something to watch because you've got a lot of crossovers happening today. A lot of stocks moving below those numbers and those levels, and it's the weight of the market. That's Apple and those guys are going to do what they can, but that could be ruined tomorrow depending on what the Fed does. So if those guys crash tomorrow, then it's going to be problems. If you pull up the December 2021 minutes, we're at the top of the 2024 rate expectations. Are we really?
That tells you. Look, back in December they were still saying inflation was transitory.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at that personally, but that's still funny that we didn't even make
2
it a
years
year
ahead
before we got 3 years ahead of schedule. And that's the question: is expectations at least a month ago or so were that this is going to be the last rate hike. That was definitely heavy in market expectations. We'll see if that remains the case going forward. It's going to be interesting. I don't know how much more they can hike without breaking something, and maybe they want to break something. Who knows? Maybe they need to.
I'm telling you, man, they're breaking into a big recession. They're planning it. They're just not letting you know. Yeah. So we'll see what we get. We'll see what we get tomorrow. The dot plot's going to be very important. Expectations going forward. The 75 basis point rate hike, I think, is probably likely. I would suppose. I doubt they'll scare us. But you do have that 100 basis point. We've had surprises in the past from other central banks, but that's not our central bank. Our central bank tries to prepare people ahead of time as much as possible. But so that's what we get tomorrow, and that's what we're gonna have to look for. We're gonna have to see how they respond to some of the inflation numbers, and there's the Q&A after, so we'll see what we get there. Other than that, the Atlanta Fed cut their GDP as a result largely of some of the housing data we got today. So we can talk about that. Housing permits versus housing starts today. We had two very different numbers. You had housing permits, which had an absolute implosion. They dropped 10% month over month versus 4.8% expected. And then you had the housing starts, which exploded, 12.2% up month over month versus 0.3% expected. And all of the gains in starts, I think all of them pretty much were from multifamily homes. And it's important. These numbers are important because the building permits, which is a forward-looking number, has slumps. So people aren't looking to build houses moving forward. And the housing starts, the only gain really was the multifamily, which kind of was a little predictable than anything else. So it kind of tells you that the housing market's still failing us.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. So, and that, yeah, like you said, that the permits are the ones that, we're getting the permits to actually build, are, still a ways away from being built, and those imploded. So
Right.
you're gonna, and then the starts are the ones that actually broke ground, started construction this month, and so we'll probably see housing starts start to drop off, obviously, as those negative permits catch up. But that's gonna be interesting. I mean, that initial housing starts explosion. I would say is also something to take note of, because that's going to be, I think, short-term upward price pressure, more inflationary pressure on the houses.
Right.
If you are getting a big influx there, if there is that demand for people to get those multifamily homes, that continues to put upward pressure on the houses. We'll see. I don't know. But I don't know. That's something notable, and the Fed cut their GDP expectations as a result, and
Yeah.
we're gonna have to see what we say. Fed's own economists are saying cool down with the rate hikes, apparently not cut, but are very against multiple 75 basis point rate hikes. Read an article on it yesterday. I might try to find it for Discord. Yeah, sure. Post it in Discord if you find it. Um, you know, yeah, it's going to be, hopefully they slowed. I would expect them to maybe do 50 basis points next time, or 25. It all
Right.
depends on what the numbers show as we get forward. I don't think we were as convinced that we were getting 75 basis point rate hikes as of like 2 weeks ago, before we saw some of those numbers lately. So that's what we're gonna have to
Mark.
watch for.
Mark.
386 end of day. I mean, that's
Mark.
just high of the day. I could see us just, if you're saying that we're gonna
Oh, it's just
essentially
high.
gonna chop, 386
Look,
is
dude,
just high a day. Which,
that's
if you're
fine.
saying essentially we're just gonna chop around the rest of the day, I'm not
Right.
gonna.
I,
If that's what you're calling the bounce, if you say we're gonna go higher, I don't know. Who's
I would
buying in
say
front
no
of
one's
the Fed?
buying ahead of the Fed, so maybe
Yeah.
maybe we chop around, but
Yeah.
although
Yeah,
I find it hard to
mhm,
believe that we'll close at the high of the day. But
mhm,
I don't know. We'll
mhm.
see. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah. I could definitely see us chopping around if we happen to be up there near the end of the day. Then it depends on what people want to do into tomorrow. If people want to cover their positions, or initiate positions, then you may see a little volatile movement at the end of the day. Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah. So I saw the bounce too, and I was like, I don't know about that. But he said 386. I was like, okay. I mean, that's essentially just chop for the
Yeah.
day.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So we will see. On that one, that was, I think, the majority of the headlines. Apparently, Putin's out there talking.
Yeah.
Who cares? Who cares? Market doesn't care. I don't care. Like what he has to say. That's just Russia's embarrassing themselves every day more and more, at least in the war front of things. They've lost more ground already. So I don't know what it depends on what he's going to say there. I don't, whatever. I'm frankly going to be a little shocked if he survives the rest of the year, but we'll see.
Right.
But we will see. Bounce all-time high by end of the day on a rate cut leak. Yeah, that would throw someone for a loop. But I think that would be like the black swan of all black swans, considering how transparent this Fed tries to be ahead of time. But we'll see. Let me see here. So, where's this calendar? Oh yeah, so that is interesting. Mao said that so the Vix expiration is tomorrow. So
Oh, really?
the Vix
On
expiration
Fed?
as well on Fed Day. That's interesting. I don't know if that'll necessarily do anything in and of itself. Like, this was a VIX expiration day. Where's July 20th? Like, this was an expiration day. Like, maybe that coupled with everything. The 15th, this was an expiration day. And I just see a lot of wicks on these days. So that in and of itself doesn't usually cause much, frankly. Paired with this, who knows? Who knows? It's possible, but paired with the Fed. But it is something. It is a special occurrence, that could be fun to watch. So we'll have to see. Other than that, we do have more numbers tomorrow as well. So I know we had the housing starts and permits today, but tomorrow we have existing home sales, a little more like immediate. This is more of a lagging indicator, so it's not going to really pair with those, I would argue, but we do have it. And then we also have the Bank of Japan tomorrow night. See what they're doing. That should be fun to talk about that. And while we're on that, why don't you just kind of take over and talk some Forex and futures and what you were seeing? Because if you traded the futures today, it was probably pretty boring, unless maybe if you traded oil or gold maybe this morning on the open. I know you had a good. It wasn't a multi-net day NASDAQ play. Well, regardless, talk all of it. Talk whatever you were looking at today. You had some good call-outs today, so talk what you were talking about, and then we can dive back into the market.
Sure. Dollar is really what's kind of making me intrigued as far as where price expectations moving forward, because we're pumping up today, and we're bouncing right off these lows of the consolidation. Now we are at the highs, so we could reject from here, and this is going to be very important to keep an eye on at the end of the day. If the dollar breaks through 110.21 and if we start running towards these highs in the Fed, then I think that we're going to be dangerous, and we start seeing the market leak off towards the end of the day. We'll see where the dollar ends. It could reject here like it has been the last few days, but looking very strong. 4 hours looking stronger than it has throughout this whole entire consolidation, and we're marching through here. We rejected here earlier this morning, pulled back not even 50%, and now we're pushing back through highs here. So kind of looks like the dollar wants to continue through towards highs and march on. We blew off some steam. We're not overbought anymore. We're sitting here at these highs. So I don't know. It's looking good. Looking good for a continuation here. But again, it's all eyes were on Fed, and I think though, if we close strong through these wicks, we close at these highs, I think that we could get a nice continuation into tomorrow, and it's showing that people are going into cash ahead of the Fed. But we'll see. Looking at gold here, look, all price action today is pretty predictable. It was, I expected it to be very choppy today, moving sideways. Everything's really moving sideways. If you look at gold, sitting here, chopping in its range here. The dollar is still in its range, although gold's falling off, really to no surprise. I tried taking a long in gold today, off of this trend line here. I took a long somewhere right in here, and it was just, I was stuck in a 3-hour consolidation, and it ended up just failing it and dropping off. Now, I'm not too surprised. Probably wasn't the best trade because we are chopping in this consolidation. I thought maybe we get a little bit of a pop out of here and then drop. Didn't work, but that's all right. It is what it is. So chopping around today, pushing back down towards lows. I'd expect gold to end up coming right back down towards 1660. If you look at the overall higher time frames here, we're sitting at really the last area until 1644. And 1644 is going to come into play next, most likely, once we break through this support tomorrow. So it seems like everything's just setting up, and right for it. And the fact that we couldn't break through this resistance of 1680, and retest this breakdown, kind of tells you that everything's heavy right now. And we'll see where it closes, but looking good for the shorts on that one. Oil, there's not much really to cover on oil right now. I actually had a really good call out today on it, but it happened too late. I was talking about this consolidation in here, and I mentioned that it has to happen at 9 o'clock, high volume time, whether we get longs above 86 or shorts below 85. If it's at 9 o'clock, I'd be all in it looking for a pushback down, and I have this line drawn at 82.98, and it almost wicked it right here. So actually had some beautiful shorts at 9 o'clock. I didn't catch it because I was just chopping myself up elsewhere probably. But some really good call outs there. However, like I said yesterday, oil's just stuck in this range here. And I don't think you get much movement out of it for the time being. Oh, is the market cracking right now?
Yeah, it's making new lows suddenly. Yeah, so much no chop today. This is the other thing that could potentially happen, which is someone starts pulling the rug, and it doesn't matter if there's a headline or not. If I'm holding a bunch of bag into fucking tomorrow and I see this, I'm not holding that bag anymore. Are you kidding me?
100%. No, it's
I'm pulling the trigger and asking questions later.
And it's not helping that you're seeing the dollar break out here too.
Is it? Yeah, that also could definitely be helping them. You know.
So it's not. Yeah, so it doesn't look like it wants to find any support here.
Yeah,
that's interesting. But yeah, just finishing off on oil real quick while we let the SPY continue lower. Probably going to maintain its consolidation here. Now, if I don't think it cracks, again, I really don't think it cracks based off everything I've talked. I don't want to, sound like it beat a dead horse. I say the same thing over and over again, but although I think the dollar will continue higher, I think oil then chops around in this, low to mid 80s range. So might be a choppy trader for time being until we get some things figured out. We have oil inventory numbers tomorrow. Probably will help prop it up a little bit, but I don't think it's going to have a big move towards it for it. But right now, 81.57 going to be the level to watch on the short side. And if you want to get a nice long out of it, 86.55 would be the area I'm watching here for a pump. Otherwise, we're just chopping in this range for the day. And there's nothing else to it. Crypto is looking very weak today as well, and I know you guys like to talk about how the correlation with the crypto market and the stock market. Well, if you look at Ethereum, like I always talk about how it's really the leading indicator for Bitcoin lately. Is we cracked here, retested, and now we're dumping back down towards the lows here, and so Bitcoin again dropping back down towards the 18,000 lows. Yesterday had a big rejection wick, but today we're filling that wick and we're heading right back down. So risk seems to be off ahead of the Fed. Bitcoin's cracking, market's cracking, dollar's popping, and so it just dollar's still making new highs a day right now. So it's just I don't think you want to see any buying come in, to be honest. But but that. I was looking at nat gas still hanging out, creating a nice interesting head and shoulders here, but all right. But that's it for me. The only thing that ended up making me positive today was I ended up catching this NASDAQ squeeze. I accumulated 3 contracts right in this consolidation point in here, off of that 1200 or 11,897 area. Looking for a pop to 12,000, and I caught this whole pop here.
Nice.
Top wicked it. Not often you do that, but ended up working out really well off the 12,000 mark. But that's what made me positive today. And that's it. That's all she wrote. So
nice.
Back to you.
Nice. Alrighty. Well, I'll pull up the charts and let's see where this market is. So. Market chilling at lows here since we had that little 3-bar flush here. Nice little uptick on the volume candles. I'm sure you had a lot of stops get hit as well. A lot of people kind of probably panic as well when we hit that. So almost your second highest print of the day. Maybe it is your second highest print of the day. So it's not bad to see that at 130. Definitely something to take note of.
Yeah.
It doesn't bode well for the market. So it looks like we could be rolling over lower as we speak. Zooming out, looking at some intermediate levels here. I mean, maybe you start looking like near some of these lows here, 381.50, though that's a sneeze away from where we are at the moment. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens going into the Fed. Do you see people panic out and then cover? Is this a sell the rumor, buy the news type situation, or what? When you get the dot plot and you get other stuff like that, it could be it could change the landscape.
This is feeling like the same market action that we had heading into CPI, like where just, or whatever, or the speech where we just start leaking.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see if we keep leaking into that. And to comment on Mal's point, it is a good point. With VIX being elevated like this, going into VIX expiration tomorrow. I mean, I would say we're in the middle ground. I mean, obviously we're elevated in that we're at 27, but we're not up here. So here the difference is between the VIX action on expiration when we were down here. So like August 17th, this was your VIX expiration. Not that eventful, but when we were up here, this was a VIX expiration. Obviously a lot more eventful, and I think like one of these was another, or this big green candle was the VIX expiration. So there is possibility for an explosion on that when we're a little elevated. I'd say we're about in the middle ground right now. But the market is setting up for a big action anyway, so I think that is definitely going to set up a potential further compounded move. But if the market moves, it's not going to be because of the VIX expiration. If anything, it'll probably make it, give it maybe a little more gas. So we'll have to see. And the VIX expiration wouldn't also stall any move that the Fed might be doing. That's for sure. So, but it definitely is. Yeah, it definitely could have some impact in terms of the oomph that we get. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what we get there. Market just hanging around down here. Honestly, look. Other than like the little move you guys got in the middle here, now you're starting to get some action. But if this thing chops around the rest of the day, just be careful. If it chops around the rest of the day, you want to go in tomorrow with at least a positive mindset over your trading. Other than that. For headlines, I think that was really the bigger headlines out there, and that's what we've got coming up here. Just to mention the earnings the rest of the week, because you got some small companies here and there, you got some bigger companies. Tomorrow morning you have General Mills reporting, pretty big food processor, probably a pretty good indication of the consumer staples brand. So I would definitely keep an eye on that. It's still sitting up here pretty elevated. You look at that compared to like PepsiCo, which is below its 200-day, or some of those other food guys. So General Mills reports tomorrow morning, Lennar's tomorrow after the close, and Trip.com, T-Com, is another one that reports after the close. And the only reason I mentioned Trip.com is because, last time I was here, we were talking about the cruise line squeezing up, and Expedia is kind of popping up. Yeah, some of the rebounding plays doing well. Airlines, obviously, doing airline things. But that could be interesting. And then Thursday, actually, after the close, you get FedEx reporting. Could be interesting. Nice action here on FedEx. We'll have to see what we get on their earnings. This right here was they came out. I think it was that morning prior, and just gave a whole bunch of fears on the economy. They're like, yeah, shit's bad. And, they essentially were warning for what we're going to be probably getting. Or did they early release their earnings? They may have early released them. I have to double check that.
Mike talked about it.
Oh, they did. They ended up giving the earlier, a week earlier than expected, and they withdrew their full year guidance. Yeah.
So
I thought they were just warning about it.
Well, they were doing both. They did that as well.
Yeah. So that's gonna. So maybe we may not get anything on that then. So that was supposed to be Thursday after close, but the other one is Costco. So that is one that is not reported early, but is in the process of falling apart and failing off of its moving averages. They report Thursday after the close as well. We've already had Kroger report earnings. They did really well on the day of earnings and have since given all of it back and then some. And BJ's reported good earnings. They gave it back, filled the gap, and actually touched and goed, which is pretty interesting. So we'll have to see what Costco does. Costco obviously a lot pricier. In this sector, had the really nice 2-year run, 2-year run here. So we'll have to see what Costco can end up doing relative to that. But they report earnings on Thursday after the close. Other than that, that's the majority of what we've got for the rest of the week. Obviously, all eyes are going to be on the Fed, and we'll have to see what we get tomorrow. That's going to be the bigger show, or the bigger event. Whoops! Don't give me a Windows update. That's nice. Going into some of these stocks and things that we're looking at, just while we wait and kind of keep a. Well, you're not pulling up SPY. There we go. Keep a loose eye on the market here to see if we sell off a little more. There was a couple headlines and some stocks out there today. Beyond Meat. So the Beyond Meat one was my favorite. I don't know if anyone saw the headline here. They're not reacting to it because it's not something that would materially affect
funny as shit.
The stock, most likely. The COO out there was arrested because he bit a man's nose. Yeah, so...
They get close enough to a man's face to bite his nose.
I don't know. I don't know. That's I want to see if they said, was it like in a parking lot when they were fighting something or something, or maybe he was like, I got to taste what real meat tastes like. I've been eating Beyond Meat shit for years. I need flesh, and he finally lost it.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It looks like it was road rage. So they were fighting and like, He just bit him in the fucking nose. Weird.
All right.
Yeah, noses are Beyond. If you guys were wondering what they make the Beyond Meat out of, there you go. It nose. Beyond Meat, just another stock that's slowly skidding its way to oblivion. Ford had headlines as well, which is why you're seeing a nice little kick there. Inflation and supply chain concerns. Q3 supply costs are going to be $1 billion higher than what they initially expected. Whoops. Yep. And they expect to have 40,000 vehicles in their entire inventory at the end of Q3, missing parts. So Ford's having some supply chain issues. That is, obviously not the best headline for people to be hoping. Time to short Beyond Meat. I think you're a little late to the Beyond Meat short. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's definitely gonna, it's still bleeding off and it's likely going to zero. But I see a chart like this, I'm not getting excited to short it. You'll probably still get some more points in there. Absolutely, I'm not saying buy it, but it's definitely had like a 7-day skid here, a 6-day skid. But anyway, so Ford, some serious concerns with inflation and supply chain. That's also not good for the rest of the economy, frankly, because it's not a headline that's been permeating lately. The inflation, yes, the supply chain's not a good sign. It's not, because the supply chains will just continue to cause higher inflation. Can't get the price down if you can't get the fucking materials. So that's a bad sign going forward as well. We're gonna have to see that. I haven't looked at that company in a couple of months. Yeah, no one has. It's just been dead because every time it had a headline, it just couldn't maintain it, and that's a big sign on a stock like this. We joked about that for like years now. I feel like every time it would get a headline, they would just sell it off. Kim Kardashian joined the board. Did she really? Well, there you go. There's your turnaround story, folks. That sounds like GameStop. GameStop brought all these like headlines, Ryan Cohen and all these people coming into the board. What are they going to do with it? What are they going to do?
Right.
So, I think that's pretty interesting. More like a headline move. Something tells me she's not going to be sitting in on many of the board meetings. Market popping back up slightly. We'll see if we fail off this little kind of short-term trailing EMA or not, or if we get maybe a return to VWAP and then we fail from there. We'll have to see. They hired her as a meat expert or something stupid like that.
What? Oh, quotations meat expert.
I'm trying to tell if you're being serious, Mel, because I don't want to make the joke if that was already a joke.
Right.
Let me actually Google it.
Oh my god.
Let's see. She's the chief taste consultant.
So she is the meat expert.
I mean,
oh my god.
It's low-hanging jokes, so I'm not gonna. I mean, that's how she eventually blew up and became popular, for showing people how she can taste meat. That's for sure. That was how she eventually gained popularity. So. only fitting. So anyway,
fuck.
that's the market. There you go. That's your headline. That's your headline. Yeah, the jokes write themselves. Oh boy. Anyway, pulling up some of the filters here. Let's see what some of our top movers and gainers are today, because frankly, I've been so tuned out today that I'm catching up here on some of this. AMPX, there's a fun little one for you day traders. I don't know, Chris, you trade this one at all? Looks like it didn't really wake up until 10:45 or so. I don't see a single headline on this one. Looks like it might be moving in conjunction with something else, some other stocks headline, and this one's probably low float, so they're just taking this one for a run. Don't know what the float is on this one or if there's shares available to locate, but be careful with this, obviously, because at some point the rug will likely be pulled. But this is a fun little runner, still sitting up here, setting up almost a little W pattern. Maybe you get a little end-of-day breakout here for some of you. Or if you're looking to short, maybe you'll get that opportunity as well. Chris had said he had shorted Asana today. That one looks like it's printing pretty nicely. I assume maybe you either shorted off a failure or maybe VWAP crossover or hell, I mean, there's a lot of trades you could have taken in this one, and I like each and every one. I mean, nice failure off of these levels here. If this is what you were looking at, kind of this rejection point. So I think that's pretty good. And it looks like it's printing for you. So as long as you got a trail and stop system in place or something like that, let it ride. Doing well. Failure off 26. That's a good trade. I like that. I like that. Oh, what do you think, Ty? I think it's pretty
I
good.
like that a lot.
Yeah, I like, you've got nice rejection here, nice defined level, and off she went. She eventually gave up and failed several times intraday, got below VWAP, and that was all she wrote. And we'll see how much further she got in her, down 4%, even after being up X amount percent. So I don't even know let's see what Asana's ATR is. Not that it would matter. Well, today volume isn't particularly high, so ATR is something to keep in mind. Let's see here. Average. How's your true range? Man, why are my eyes not working? There you are, 2.1. So 2.1 from high to low. You're almost at 2.1. So, you might have a little bit more in it, but if the market falls apart, obviously it could drag more with it. But on a low volume day, keeping that in mind will probably help you as well. But again, the market, if it rolls back over, you could get more. I would just make sure you get some more, have a good trailing stop or a target in place. Asana CEO just bought 349 million more of his stock. Man, we got it like 18, 16. My man also bought some at like 100 something back up in here, So my man believes in this company. Bless his soul. He's gonna be able to take it private once he owns all the shares himself. So that's pretty interesting. Good old Asana CEO. At least he's consistent, You gotta respect it. NRBO, another one that's kind of doing its thing. This is a pharma company that was running, a week or two ago. Did a 1-to-30 reverse split. They had some headlines in there too, some BS headlines, I think, and now we're just getting a dead cat bounce. Maybe this gets back up here. Maybe. I don't know. I think we'll see. A lot of this action was done on like a hot, quick 30-minute squeeze and has been chopped around since. So you're likely going to, unless you can get a bunch of volume to sustain, which this volume pumped back in, it didn't even really move. I'm thinking this one's probably done, but I've been wrong on those plenty of times, so we'll have to see. A nice little dead cat bounce there. VRAX, BS company gapping up on something. Hasn't faded off yet, but I'm sure it will. Med, another small BS company. I'm sure that'll eventually fail. Same with MGAM, Blue. You guys are sensing a trend here. A lot of BS stocks are green today. If I'm looking at the top performers. IMPX, this one's a fun one. Here we go. Let's bring this one up. Pull up the daily chart here. So there's a nice little SPAC for you. IMPX. This one, who's this becoming? I actually don't know who this one's becoming.
How does the SPAC go below $10?
So, well, they always trade slightly below or above usually because that's where they liquidate.
I was that gap down.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I wanted to look. I'm guessing that they announced who they're acquiring. Because then at that point, like,
right.
Fucking shit's open. Let me see. Maybe they already announced it. Livewire. Seriously?
That's dumb.
Is that? Yeah, I guess
that's
it's Livewire. And then today or a couple days ago, the shareholders approved it. Yeah. So for those who don't know, Livewire is Harley-Davidson's electric motorcycle division.
Right.
So that is what that is. This is going to become electric motorcycles.
It fits in with the EV space.
Yeah. Frankly, when they said Livewire, I thought LimeWire, which was that old torrenting like rip site from back in the 90s in my childhood. But that's interesting. So today, I'm sure they're just taking it for a ride. I don't think there's much here right now. But there may be. No, it's Livewire, VE.
Mark,
I thought it was Lime. That's what I thought, Mark.
Yeah.
But this is Harley-Davidson's electric motorcycles, which I don't even know if they're actually out yet technically. But anyway, so there you go. That's what that SPAC is. That's a fun one. Maybe that one will give you some opportunity for you fund traders.
Broke.
Did it?
Yeah.
Did it break again? All right, yeah, this is not a good sign. And look, we failed right off this same little, just kind of tight trailing EMA. It's keeping a nice little lid, making new lows. This could get ugly into the close then, because who's buying here? Before the Fed? That's
clearly
the issue.
Nobody.
Now, depending on how far down we go into tomorrow, that could cause issues with it. Would be an easy trade tomorrow. And that would be very fitting for the market. Take all the fun out of tomorrow today.
Yep.
You know, tomorrow feels like a bit of a layup, so they're going to ruin it today. So this may be time to be trading this market. Maybe if it keeps showing this weakness, you got another 2 hours left in the day. A lot can happen in 2 hours.
Don't tease me, huh?
I know. I'm surprised you're not trading on the show here like Mike usually does.
Yeah, what
yeah, so fun. Then you've got this VIRI. This is a great example of why you don't buy therapeutics companies. They were 2 days ago or yesterday. They dropped from 9 to 3 and then continue to drop when their phase 2 of their pretty much their only drug didn't quite do it. Just didn't quite reach the endpoints that they wanted. And then they did a public offering today, 10 million shares at 50 cents. So that's that's a fun one right there. That's a fun little headline there. But just another great example of why I never hold stocks like this. I never invest in stocks like this unless unless it's with an amount that I'm like, all right, if I lose 90% of it, whatever. Here's another tech company getting imploded. You had IMTE selling off today, which, just more kind of bygone dead ones past. SPPI, another pharma company that imploded. I'm sensing a trend there. So that's really your big movers in terms of percentages. Just looking at some of my charts, we already talked about like Ford and some of the others. Let's see if Apple and Tesla have turned over yet. Okay, so I would maybe watch Apple. Apple's now below its VWAP, finally starting to see it maybe give back a little bit here. And this one was trying its best to keep the market higher. So if Apple and Tesla start failing, that would also be really bad for the market. We got to keep an eye on that. So that's gonna be interesting. Apparently, they've had some really good pre-sales for those shitty phones that
really
we're making fun of. Apparently, I think so. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. Beats me.
I thought for sure if I wasn't getting a pre-order for it, then nobody was, because I like to get the first phone.
Yeah. There's people out there they'll buy anything. Where I want to pull up the last. Here we go. Last 100 IPOs. Where's the one? Here it is. So it wasn't on for this CRBG, but it did have a little second move in here. It wasn't much. It was just too thick of a stock. This was a big boy IPO. It was the only big boy IPO we've had recently. It was just too thick, and no one's really interested in financials right now. So it's unfortunate that this is the extent of the IPO action we have these days. But we'll have to see what this market continues to do. Other stocks that I was looking at, I think that was really it. Just to skim through some of the old sectors that we were talking about last time I was on the show. Solar's kind of giving up now. I think it's kind of, some, like TAN is, but like FSLR is hanging on. EMPH is hanging on. SunPower is starting to crack. The TAN itself, however, is looking rough, so I'd be careful and watch the divergence as it widens between like First Solar and TAN. Maybe you see First Solar start to play catch up. Uranium has pulled back, sadly. No excitement there. Same with lithium. So there's nothing there from those boys. The XVI, which I was joking about as it got to the 200-day last I was on, that's kind of failed. So sorry, guys. You're not getting anything there anytime soon. And then all the other guys are just doing their thing. Netflix is interesting. It's bucking the trend here, and it's at this resistance. So if you're bearish on it, maybe a good place to short. If you're bullish on it, maybe you're getting a breakout soon. That's just, I don't know. This is a stock that obviously has already, gotten the shit kicked out of it several times. So I think people are looking at this as a potential bottoming point, even if the market starts selling off. But I'm not really sold that this is a good level for Netflix yet. Adobe, ever since announcing their merger and their earnings since I was last on, are continuing to sell off. Pretty interesting there to see this one continue, but they're still very overpriced, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that continue. I saw Wix was going up yesterday because there was some activist took a big stake in Wix or something. And Kevin O'Leary, the fucking guy from Shark Tank, was like, good, because activist investors usually keep management from making stupid mistakes or something like that. So I don't know. I don't know if that was specifically targeted at Wix or whatever. But that one was kind of running up, kind of stalling today. Volumes disappeared, so it's probably done. It'll probably fade back down for a nice second day continuation on that on the way down. So we'll have to see. I ordered the iPhone 14 Pro because my iPhone 8 was starting to show a sign of age.
Yeah,
Probably a good sign.
That's because Apple shut it down. So
yeah, probably a good call on that one. That's funny. XRE, that was a nice dump bar. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Let me pull up the. Oh, that works. Yeah. I mean, this is with the housing numbers this morning, so that definitely was probably what put the thumb in that eye. It's actually at lows for the year, which is pretty interesting. You have Lennar reporting earnings tomorrow, so it's a big company in the housing sector. Might be worth keeping an eye on. It could have some impact, but on that one. Other than that, I mean, we were trading with stuff like Roblox and stuff, but all that stuff's faded off. The ARK trade's dead. They're fading back off to lows. So they were kind of leading us last week, and now they're not even able to do that. So it's a rough time right now for the market. Apple's still stuck below VWAP. I would almost maybe not use Apple's. I don't know if I use it as a leading indicator. Let me see. When did Apple cross VWAP? They crossed at like 130 on the dot. And at that point, market kind of started fading. So I think Apple could be a good tell as well. Because like I showed, market finally playing catch up now, actually making new lows with this. But the percentage stocks trading above 50-day, they were low. You had all the a bunch of the massive stocks weak, but you had Apple holding us higher, Tesla holding us higher. Oh, Tesla's had a nice
Tesla spill.
Nice little rainbow.
They've
shot. So now if Tesla and Apple start dropping off, that could cause further weakness in the market. Just because the market's down a lot, big boys haven't even moved yet.
Right.
If the big boys start moving, you got more weightedness. So actually, before we broke, I wouldn't have been surprised if we chopped. Now I wouldn't be surprised if we really continue to see pain for the next 2 hours, because maybe they take that trade away from tomorrow, and then you get who the hell knows. But I don't know. That's really all I had. Did anyone have anything else that they wanted me to look at before we kind of wrap this one up early? Because tomorrow is the long show. We're going to be on through the Fed press conference. So we're going to be on till like 3:30 anyway. So we were going to cut this one a little early, but I want to make sure no one had any other stuff or questions, because otherwise I want to let everyone get to watching this price action, trading this action. I'm sure wherever Mike is, he's trading this action. I'm gonna try to be there tomorrow, Borderline. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna work to be there for sure. The more we drop today, the higher the chances of ripping no matter what. I agree, Mal. The more we drop today, the more likely we see us sell the rumor buy the news situation, especially if Gamma. I don't know what the internals on Gamma and what some of that stuff looks like these days after OPEX and after things like that. But we could be set up for some nasty stuff for sure tomorrow. If the market's down, pretty heavily going into the Fed alone, who knows? That could be, frankly, the buying point or the covering point, at least temporarily for a short-term thing. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. The more would be fun to go in the FOMC with Vix at 35, get 100 basis point and rip anyway. Yeah. I don't think we're getting into there with 35. It'd be fun if we could. I agree. I'll shoot for like 28 or 29 at this point. We'll see. But we've seen crazier shit. You never know with this market. People are scared, and when people are scared, it's very easy for this market to make some crazy action. All right, well, I guess we can wrap this one up. Thanks, Chris. It was good seeing you. We're almost 28. 2 more hours to panic. We got plenty of time to panic, or we got plenty of time for the sheep to start nibbling in. But we can wrap this one up, guys, and we'll see you guys tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern.
See you tomorrow, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah, see you tomorrow. Safe trading.